So let's have a look at that story coming out of New York City. Zohran Mamdani is now the new New York mayor. 50.4% of New Yorkers voted, becoming the city's first Muslim mayor and the youngest in a century. 34 is young to be running something like that. I'm older than 34 now. At 34, the thought of running anything would terrify me. But he's got a big old agenda of giveaways. I mean, this is Bonanza Central over there at the Big Apple. He's pushing for free childcare, free buses, rent freezes. He wants, of course, to tax the rich more to get this very sort of socialist position, higher corporate taxation as well. Does need some state approval. This can't all be done at local level, and that's where it's going to get interesting. Let's speak to Tom Rivers, journalist and broadcaster. Tom, good afternoon to you, sir.
Ian, good to see you again.
So this guy, it was kind of penciled in, right? I mean, there was a sense that he was the favourite and the front runner. Where did he come from and how did he become so popular?
Interesting. Yeah, 34 years of age, born in Uganda, and the fact that, yes, he's been a state representative up in Albany in the state legislature for 5 years. Very, very short period of time.
Yeah.
But he's a great speaker, Ian. He's got charisma. And again, the problem with New York, it's very, very expensive in regards to, say, London. London's very, expensive as well. And people would like to have things like rent controls, but it comes with a price tag.
Sure.
And the price tag is about $10 billion annually. And as you point out, about a third of that money comes from state and federal funding. The president may balk at some of that down the road if there's problems with, say, National Guard implementation. If it came to that, Governor Hochul is a Democrat, and she says, look, we don't have the money. There's no money. There's no $10 billion to do all these fine and wonderful things. So the proof will be in the pudding. We've been here before and see exactly how far down the road you can go with these progressive ideas, something that a lot of people would like, but it comes with a price tag. And the question is, who's going to pay for it down the road?
Yeah, and that's the problem. Invariably, there's not enough rich. There's not as many rich people as people tend to think there are, because obviously we hear about Elon Musk and, various other characters that are Bill Gates, those that are worth a lot of money. But when you start to look and think, oh, I'll just tax the rich people, that's invariably, history has sort of shown us that it's a fairly futile journey. It doesn't, the maths don't quite equate.
Well, exactly. And the fact that a lot of that income right now comes from the higher tax brackets, and there may well not be an exodus of people running to, say, Florida, et cetera, right now, of the wealthy. They'll probably, they got enough money, they'll roll with the punches. Yeah. But as the president says, look, this will be a hiccup for 4 years, and he says the world may change. Again, if he does very, very well in this next year. We're looking at the midterms, Ian. This is a lot of what this has to do about. If he blows up, as Trump says, this may be, the best thing that ever happened to the Republicans because, yes, he's going to stumble and fall, and that could mean fill in the blank. Maybe, just maybe, a Republican governor of New York, et cetera, and maybe the Republicans can hold the House come 2026, so I'll have to wait and see on that one.
Sure. Mayors carry quite a lot of power and responsibility, don't they? I mean, we have a slightly different system over here. Our mayors do have, certainly if you're in charge of the police, for example, Sadiq Khan, the London mayor, is also the chief police commissioner, if you want to look at it like that. So he has, there's clear responsibilities, but the mayoralties in places like New York really do wield a lot of influence, but there is also a relationship required with the state as well.
Oh, very much so, very much so. And a lot of that has to do, talk on a national level, Congress holds the purse strings, Albany holds the purse strings for a large degree for New York City. So you can come in and say, I want free bowling alleys on every corner. You're not going to get that if the state says, look, we don't have the money for that. Sorry. Yeah. Try plan B.
What is plan B? I mean, it could all go pear-shaped, as we say. But I guess there's a wider question here, perhaps, Tom, and that is the the re-emergence of the Democrats. Now, of course, you know, it's New York City. It's a metropolitan place, much like London, as you know. It's, you know, you could, you know, on a good day, you could stick a red rosette, or red over here, blue over there, on a horse, and it would get elected in a lot of metropolitan areas. But there were other results for the Democrats last night. Virginia, New Jersey, governorships there, Democrats. Is this the tide turning? Are the Dems back?
Well, is it? You know, you bring up a very good point. Two centrists won as governor of New Jersey and in Virginia, and you know, that really is more telling. Because New York has absolutely nothing to do with the Midwest, has very little to do with the South.
Yeah.
So trying to read in, you know, New York has rolled now. That means it's going to be a wipeout in 3 3/4 years. It's not going to happen. But it is interesting, and it's going to be an experiment to see what happens in New York. But the fact that the centrist Democrats won in these two states, that is a bit alarming for some Republicans who think that they could lose control of the House in a year, maybe still hold the Senate, but that changes the dynamics on the ground. Mindful of that, Trump says, get legislation through right here, right now, talking about voter reform, abolishing mail-in ballots, all of that kind of stuff. He says, you can't wait. If you got the power in the legislatures in the states right now, do it now. You can't do it October time next year because it'll be too late.
And what has Donald Trump's overarching response been to last night's results, particularly that of this new mayor of New York? I mean, would he have called him and congratulated him? Is that protocol, or does that not happen from president to mayor?
Probably not. He could do. But I think it's telling. His first tweet was, and so it begins.
Yeah,
so
saw that.
in his view, yes, it begins to push more voters down the road toward the Republicans. The Democrats say, oh no, we're going to show you how well we can do over the next 12 months. And that means, yes, we potentially could change the dynamics in the House. So I have to wait and see on that one.
We will indeed. Tom, great to have you on. Lovely to see you again as well. Thank you, Tom Rivers, journalist and broadcaster, on that interesting result. I don't know, is there anywhere... It depends how you define left-wing, doesn't it? And again, you have to sort of distinguish between places like London and New York from the rest of the country, both over there and over here. But that kind of extreme left-wingism, when you think about what we're discussing here today, about the cost of our welfare system, the cost of people being off work because they're ill, off work forever, by the way, and those numbers growing, the cost of old age pensions, the cost of the NHS, and all of this, as we've been establishing over the last couple of days, utterly unsustainable, to the point of there being a crash so big we can't imagine what that's going to look like. I don't know, you know, beyond... Someone's going to come in and go, right, there's going to be a top rate of tax of 80% because there's no other way of paying for this. And that is what this guy, Mamdani in New York, Mayor Mamdani, as he will now be known, he described himself as a browner version of a Scandinavian politician. Because Scandinavia, as I was trying to think of countries around the world where this kind of stuff works, where if you're looking at free buses, free childcare, rent freezes, all manner of other issues. If that's the line you go down, someone's got to pay for it. Costs multiple billions of pounds. And Scandinavia seems to be the go-to answer that people have on this kind of stuff. Oh, yeah, the Scandis do it really well. They tax you high. Lots of things cost a lot of money. A pint's about, you know, 12 quid. And, yeah, that's why. Because that's why they have great health service and teaching, and it's all tickety-boo. For that, I'm not so sure that... I don't know if it's a direct comparison either. Because... Scandinavia is not, and that's a collective of countries, they're not left-wing. They are some of the most ferocious, competitive countries when it comes to the sort of economic relationships they have with the rest of the world. So it's not quite a comparison. It's like somebody coming in to, you know, a big city and going, yeah, we're just going to spend loads on this. And is it for the state to do that anyway? There's also that question. Is it for governments to do that?